Good morning, students.
Good morning, ma'am.
Yes. So my slide is visible.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, good. Okay. So to give you all a quick recap on what we did in the last class, we started, or we rather continued with our relational model. We went into what exactly is relational algebra. What do we mean by relational algebra? It's nothing but the set of operations that we will be performing based on the relational model. We call it as a relational algebra, right? And we discussed as to what are the possible operations that we will be learning. And we took up two important unary operations, select and project. So unary means, I told you are going to apply that operation on the single table or single relation. Relation means table. So that is what is a unary operator. So, select as well as project, both are unary operators. We have seen that. So far in select and project, and then towards the end of the class, the last class, we also saw what are the similarities between select and project. We also saw what are the differences between select and project. Right. Any questions or any doubts, clarifications on these two operations before we proceed further? All right, if there are no questions, then let's continue. So this is where we stopped with respect with respect to the project operation. So we saw select, we saw what is project, right? So next, let us see. Sorry, yeah. Let us see. We stopped at this point. Yeah, this is where we stopped. So today's class, we will see what do we mean by a sequence of operations. That means we saw select individually, we saw project individually. You can also have a combination of these two operations on the same table or on the single table. You can do that. So, a single relational algebra expression by nesting the operations. I can have one within the other. Pi within select or select within pi. Both is allowed. Both can be done. So, look at this operation. Look at this syntax. Inner query, you are applying a sigma. That means you are applying a select operation. So first you are applying a select operation. Whatever result you are going to get by that select operation, on that result, you are going to apply this project operation. Am I clear? You have a project operation, and inside that we have mentioned a select operation. So first you are going to apply this sigma or the select operation on this relation R or on the table R. You are going to get some result. Select means what it will do? It will horizontally partition the table. There may be some records which will satisfy this condition. There may be some records which do not satisfy the condition. So you are going to get those records or those rows or those tuples which will satisfy this particular condition. Now, once I get that result, on that result, I am going to apply this project pi. So I would have got all the columns there, correct? It will not eliminate any column, select operation. So, but then since I'm applying project on that, out of all those columns, I will probably eliminate some of them based on what I have mentioned here in list 1. Okay. Now, this same operation, I can split it into a series of operations. Series of or a sequence of operations. Means what I am doing, I am first performing this particular operation. That is what I told you. That is, I am performing the select operation on the relation R. Whatever result I am going to get, I am going to call it as that resultant table. Okay, will be called as temp. Now, on that temp, I am going to apply this project operation. Okay. So there are two operations that I am trying to, or rather I am trying to split this into two different parts or two a sequence of operation or two series of operation. You can say anything. First, I apply a sigma I get some result, some table I'm getting, is it not? That table I will call it as temp. Next, what I do, on this temp, I'm going to apply this project operation, call that as my final result. Right? Let's see an example. Yeah. So I have taken the same employee table. So it has attributes employee ID, name and salary, and we have all these records. Now, look at this particular operation. What are we doing? We are applying a select operation on the employee. Followed by that select, I am trying to apply this pi. That means inner query, I have put it as, I have used to select. Outer query, I am doing a project. Okay. So what will happen first? First, what we are doing here, we will apply this operation. Select salary greater than 20,000 on the employee. What will happen? Since it is a select, all the columns will come in the result. The no column will get eliminated. Okay. So greater than 20,000. This will not come. Greater than 20,000. This is greater than 20,000. This is also greater than 20,000. So all these three records will first come as your resultant of your select operation. All the columns will come. Selected rows will come. Next, on this result, you are applying the project operation. Project, what am I giving? In the attribute list, I am just specifying the employee ID, that's all. That means out of this, I don't want these two columns. I will eliminate these two and then I get the employee ID 1, 0, 2, 3 and 4. This is what we call it as sequence of operations or combination of operation. You can combine select and project in order to retrieve some result. Any doubts on this so far? Any questions?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Right. Next, let us move on. Look at this. I told we can put it as a series of operations. I'm just showing that part. What are we doing here? We are taking select operation is applied on the employee table, salary greater than 20,000. That table, resultant table, I am calling it as temp. So this table will be called as temp. On this temp, I am going to apply this particular employee ID, that is the projection operation. So then finally I get this. This is my final result. Right? That is what we have shown there. Now, we go to one important operation which is called as rename operation. You can always rename your attributes. You can rename the table. You can rename both. Anything can be done. Okay. Attributes can be renamed. Table also can be renamed. You can rename both attributes and table. You can rename only attributes. You can rename only table. All the possible combinations are allowed. All right. Let us see. Now, attributes can be renamed in the resulting relation. Here I have taken I am applying a select operation on the employee table. The resultant table, I don't want it to be, if you are not renaming it, it will be called employee only. If you rename it, whatever name you are giving, it will be called by that name, the resultant. Okay. Now, here look at this part. Look at this part. What are we doing? We are applying a projection operation. EID, ENAME, salary on the temp. So temp is this particular, whatever I've already got after the select operation. On that table, I'm applying a projection. What am I doing here? Look at this part. This is the most important part here. We apply the projection operation and then, so what is my result going to contain? It is going to contain employee ID, it is going to contain ENAME, and it will contain salary also. But I don't want my output or the resultant table to be called as EID. I don't want it to be called as ENAME. I don't want it to be called as salary. In turn, I want it to be called as EMP ID. ENAME should be called as EMP name. salary should be called as or represented as EMP salary. And my table, I don't want my resultant table to be called as employee. Rather, I want my table to be called as EMP. Okay, that's how you try to rename. If you don't rename, if no renaming is applied, resulting relation will have the same names and order of attributes as the parent relation has. So yesterday's class, when we saw select and project, we did not apply any rename at all. So whatever result we got, same attributes we got it. Same table name was there, same attribute name was there. There was no change at all because we never tried to rename it. Okay. Now, here in this case, we are trying to rename. So my result, I don't want it to be called as EID, ENAME and salary. I want it to be called as what? EMP ID, EMP name, EMP salary. And my resultant table should be called as EMP, not as employee. Okay. Now, see this example. Rename. This is my original table that is there. This is my employee table is my original table. And look at the names of the attributes. EMP ID, name and salary are the names of the attributes. Right? Fine. First, what we are doing? We are applying a select operation on this employee table. Select salary greater than 20,000 on the employee table. I want that resultant table to be called as temp. So my temp will contain what? All these records. These three records. Temp is going to contain these three records. Temp will contain these three records. Next, what we are doing? I am applying a projection operation on temp. Okay, but I want it to be I don't want the result to be called as EMP ID, but I want the result to be called as EID and the table to be called as EMP and not employee or temp anymore. So this will be my final result where my table is going to be called as EMP and my attribute will be called as EID and not EMP ID. That's how I am trying to put the result into or rename my resulting relation. Any questions up to this point? Any questions, anyone? Any doubts?
No, ma'am.
Okay. 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 Now, when you want to do this rename operation, we generally use a notation. Look at this notation. Look at this notation. That is this notation. Okay. This notation is called as row. Row. Okay, we make use of this row notation or the row operation in order to rename the attributes or table. So as I told you, renaming, you can rename both relation name as well as attributes. You can rename only the relation name. You can rename only the attributes. Everything is allowed. It is not mandatory that if you rename attributes, you should rename table also. If you are renaming table, then you should rename attributes also. No such rules are there. You can rename anything. Okay. When you try to rename, you make use of the row operation. See here. First condition, what are we taking? Renaming both relation name and attributes. Both I want to rename. So how do I give? Syntax, row, employee. Employee is my original table. Okay. I am renaming that table as EMP. Look at the way I have given it. Row, employee. And then in the end, after specifying the attributes, I am giving the new table name. I want the employee table name to be renamed as EMP using the row attribute or the row notation. And these are my attributes. I have renamed all these things. If you look into the original table, I had EMP ID, name and salary. Okay, this birthday is changed. So I am giving here EMP number, EMP name and birth date. Okay, here I am renaming only the relation name. So I don't bring in the attributes at all, which is understood that attributes will remain the same. Row, old table name, new table name. So that is your renaming only the table name. I am not renaming anything else. So employee Table name will now become EMP. Now, next is what? Renaming only the attributes. Okay, so EMP number, EMP name, and birth date. So I am renaming only the attributes for whichever table I am using there. I am not renaming the table at all. All right. So either you can rename attributes, you can rename only the table, or you can rename attribute and tables. So we make use of this row operation, right? Basically, this is how it is done when you try to show it. But when you want to write it, you can write it using row. You can do that way also, like this also. Without row also, you can try to rename it. No problem. Any doubts? I keep pausing after every important concept that I tell, so that if you have any doubts or you want me to clarify something, I can do that. That's why I'm stopping. But I don't hear anything from you all. All right, so next we move on to set operations. Now, so far we were talking of unary operations. Unary means use only one particular table. When you come to set operations are always binary operations. Okay. Now, set operations, we saw union, intersection, minus, all these are set operations, right? So always you need either two sets there, correct? In sets we saw in DMS also we have seen that two sets are A union B, A intersection B. So two sets. So union, intersection, all these are binary operations. Same thing applies here also. But instead of sets, we take tables or relations. Now, what is an important condition in order to execute this set operations? That is an important point that you have to understand before we go into these things. Union, intersection, and minus are very simple to learn it. No doubts about that at all. But what you have to importantly learn here is, what do we mean by union compatibility? Union, R union S, A union B is different. There is something called as union compatibility. Let us see what it is. Now, whenever you are applying on two different tables, okay, both the set operations, both the tables should be union compatible. Union compatible, first point you should understand is, union compatible has got nothing to do with your union operation. Union operation is different, union compatible is different. If the two tables are union compatible, only then you can apply any of the set operations. Only if, I repeat, only if both the tables are union compatible with each other, then only you can apply the set operations. Any of the set operations, union, intersection, difference, anything it could be. Okay. Next, what is meant by union compatibility? Union compatibility means you are taking two different tables, correct? R and S. Here we have taken R and S. Okay, I will explain with respect to that one. Now, R is a table which has the attributes A1, A2, A3 up to AN, right? S is another table which has the attributes B1, B2 up to Bn. Okay. Now, union compatibility means two conditions have to be satisfied. First one is what? First condition is domain of AI should be equal to the domain of BI. That means domain of every attribute of R should be the same as the domain of every attribute of S. Domain of A1 should be the same as the domain of B1. Domain of A2 should be the same as the domain of B2. Domain of AN should be the same as the domain of BN. Domain means what here now? The allowed values. I have already told you domain of an attribute means what? The set of the permitted values for that attribute. What is the allowed? What are the values that are allowed for that particular attribute, that is what you call it as domain. Now, in the table, if I say the first attribute is age. Age is a number. Okay. Then in this another table, also the first attribute should be a number only. So then only you say domain of age of R is same as the domain of age of B or S. Okay, so every attribute should match with the domain of every attribute should be the same. Domain of AI should be equal to the domain of BI. So if I am having, let us say, name as the first attribute here, there also, which is varchar2. In the other table also, the first attribute should be varchar2 only. Okay. So second attribute here in case of R is a number. There also second attribute should be a number only. So that means your allowed values should also be the same. Okay. So the domain of every attribute of R should be same as the domain of every attribute of yes. That's a first condition under union compatibility. Union compatibility means two conditions have to be satisfied. One is domain should be same. Second one, important one, degree of both the relation should be the same. Degree of relation means what?
Number of attributes.
Number of attributes. So both the tables should have the same number of attributes. Only then, if these two conditions are satisfied, then you say that the two tables are union compatible. If they are union compatible, only then you can apply the set operations. Okay, let me repeat again. It's a very important point. You can apply the set operations on, first of all, set operations are binary operations. Okay, binary operation means what? You are going to apply them on two different tables, in between two different tables. Now, in order to apply the set operations, those two tables should be union compatible. Union compatible is different from your union operation. Don't get confused. Only when the two tables are union compatible, you can apply the set operations on the two tables. Any of the set operations can be applied. What do we mean by union compatibility? Union compatibility between the two tables means the two tables should satisfy two important conditions. First condition is domain of every attribute of one table should be the same as the domain of every attribute of the second table. Domain means what are the allowed or the permissible values for that particular attribute. So domain of every attribute should match with the domain of every attribute of the other table. That is the first condition. Second condition is what? Degree of both the relations should be the same. That means both the tables should have the same number of columns or the same number of attributes. If these two conditions are satisfied, then we say that the two tables are union compatible. If the two tables are union compatible, we proceed further to apply all the set operations. Any doubts at this point?
Ma'am, for any set operation, we need to first see the union compatibility.
I will say that. Going ahead, I will say for which operation is required, it is not required for which operation. Okay?
Ma'am, in this union, it should be done on only two tables or more than two tables.
More than two is also possible, but generally we call it as binary because you need to have minimum two tables.
Okay.
Yeah, you can do it on three also. No problem. Any other questions on what is union compatibility? Rupak?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Right. So let's proceed. So I have told you what is union compatibility. Now we will go on to see the different set operations. Okay. First operation, union. R union, yes. So there in DMS we have taken sets. Here we are taking tables. That's all is the difference. Union is the same everywhere. It includes all the tuples. I don't have to tell much anyways. It includes all the tuples. Tuples means rows that are either in R or in S or in both. So that is union. All of you know that. Duplicate tuples are eliminated. If you are going to have any duplicate tuples, that will get eliminated. That is your union operation. I have taken some simple examples. Okay. Now we are trying to look at this example. We have two different tables. One is student, another one is instructor. These are two different tables. Now before I apply the set operation or before I apply the union operation on this, what I should check? First I should check whether the student and the instructor table are union compatible or not. Okay. Union compatible means two conditions have to be satisfied. One is what? Domain of every attribute of student should be same as domain of every attribute of instructor. What is the first attribute here? ID. Domain is what? It is a number. Data type is number. Come to instructor. Here also domain is ID. Now, name need not be the same. Name can be different, but in this example, I have taken the same name. But look at the values. They are also number. So, domain of ID of student is same as domain of ID of instructor. Like that, every attribute should be satisfied. Second attribute is name here. What is second attribute here? Here also it is name. So, the domain is same. Here also it is collection of strings. Here also it is going to be collection of strings. So, the domain is the same. So, first condition is satisfied. What is the second condition? Both the tables should have same degree. Degree means number of attributes, number of columns. Here also you have two columns. Here also, in this table also you have two columns. Here also it is two columns. So that condition is also satisfied. So both the conditions are satisfied. So we say that both the tables are union compatible. Now since they are union compatible, I can go ahead to apply the union operation. Student union instructor. So tuples which are there in student or in instructor or in both, all that will come into union. So all of us know that. So 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 is there. Here 2, 3, 7 is there. So 2 and 3 are repeated. So it will eliminate only once it will take. So 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 7. That is your student union instructor. Any doubts? So whenever you are applying the set operation, first you should check whether they are union compatible or not. If they are not union compatible, then you cannot apply this particular operation. So that's about union. Next, let us see intersection. So intersection, all of us know that common tuples should be taken out. R intersection, yes. It includes all the tuples that are in R and S and both. Right? So again, we have taken the same two tables, student and instructor. Both the domains, they are union compatible because domain of ID is same as domain of ID of instructor. Domain of name of student is same as domain of name of the instructor. Degree of those two tables are the same. Here also it is 2, here also it is 2. So both these tables are union compatible. Hence you can apply intersection. So when I apply intersection, what do I get? Which are the tuples which are present in both? Here we have 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Here you have 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 7. So 2 and 3 are common. So you get these two attributes as intersection. These two tuples as intersection. Any doubts? Any questions?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Others? No doubts? Right. Next, set difference. So all of you know what is set difference. It is a minus operation. R minus S means all the tuples that are in S but not in S. All the tuples that are in R but not in S. Similarly, you can have S minus R, all the tuples that are in S but not in R. Okay, so again, I have taken the same two tables. We know that both are union compatible, right? So when I apply student minus instructor, all that is there in student but not in instructor. So 101, it is there in student but not in instructor. 102 is here also, there also, 3 is here, there. 104 is here, but it is not there in instructor. So these two, 101 and 104, will be part of the result of minus operation. Okay. We also saw how we can use minus in one of the query. Is it not? Last lab class, we saw one of the query where we made use of minus. Students who have not borrowed any books, we made use of minus. How did we write minus there? M-I-N-U-S, right? Then S minus R, other way around, includes all the tuples that are in S but not in R. Okay, so 107. That's the only thing which is there in S but not in R. 102 and 3 are there in student also. So 107 will be your result. Look at that. R minus S is not same as S minus R. So student minus instructor will give you a different result. Instructor minus student will give you a different result. That means they are not, what do you call it? They are not?
They are not same.
Commutative.
Very good. They are not commutative. They are not commutative. Okay, any questions? Union and intersection are commutative. See there. R union S is same as S union R. Difference is not commutative. Union is commutative. Intersection is also commutative. So here I have shown this part student union instructor. Whereas here I have shown instructor union student. Both are same. Both we are getting the same result. Here also 101, 2, 3, 4, 7. Here also 101, 2, 3, 4. So these two are commutative. Intersection is also commutative. R intersection S is same as S intersection R. Student intersection instructor is also same as instructor intersection student. Both are same. Here also I am getting 102 and 103. Here also I am getting 102 and 103. Any doubts? Whereas when you take the difference is not commutative. R minus S is not same as S minus R. All this we have seen, but still in terms of DBMS, we take it in terms of table. That's all. Yeah. Yes, somebody was asking me, I think Raman was asking me whether you can apply it on 3 tables. Is it not? You can apply, but still we call it as, we don't say it as ternary and all that. We still say it as binary operation only. Because at least a minimum of 2 tables you need, right? All right. So R union, yeah, R union S union T is same as R union S union T. So we have taken one extra table here, that is the player. Student and instructor was already there. We took one more, that is player. Again, when you apply union, you should check union compatibility between student and instructor and then only apply it on player. Or you take it instructor union player and then apply it on student, whatever it is. So in player, you have instructor, student union instructor, you will get 101, 2, 3, 4 and 5. That with player will remain the same, right? Intersection is also associative. You can have associative relationship in case of intersection also. I think I've shown this wrong. This is intersection, and sorry for that. This is intersection. Okay. This result is also wrong, I think. What should be the result here? Anyone? S intersection T. R intersection S intersection T. What should be the result? Anybody? (102). Is it not?
Yes, ma'am. 102. Yeah.
Yeah, this is actually wrong. I think I copied it wrongly. This is union. All right, so 102. However you take, you will get 102 as the answer. So both are commutative. Next. Okay, any questions so far at this point before we move to the next
Yes,
operation? Yeah.
ma'am. How is player table compatible with union compatible with student and instructor? Can you explain that?
How is union table,
Ma'am,
student table compatible with union compatible with instructor? That is what you want?
Player, ma'am. Player
Yeah.
table.
Player table. Student with player is what you're asking?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Student and player are union compatible because what do we mean by union compatible? There are two conditions under union compatibility to be satisfied. If these two conditions are satisfied, then we say they are union compatible. What are the two conditions? Domain of every attribute of student should be same as domain of every attribute of player. That's the first condition. Second condition, degree of student and degree of player should be the same. Degree means the number of attributes or the number of columns. All right. Now, what is the first attribute here? It is ID. ID is taking numbers 101, 2 and 3. Here also the first attribute takes numbers 103, 102. Values can be different. But what is the data type here? Domain. That means what are the allowed values? Allowed value is again number, 3-digit number. So they are compatible. So they are domain of ID of student is same as domain of ID of player. Next, second attribute is what? Name. It is all allowed characters, all allowed alphabets. Here also it is all allowed alphabets. So domain of name of the student is same as domain of name of the player. Okay. So domain of every attribute of student is same as domain of every attribute of player. So the first condition is satisfied. Any doubts at this point?
No, ma'am.
Yeah. The second condition for union compatibility is what? The number of, the degree of the relation has to be the same of both the tables. Degree of relation means number of columns. How many columns we have in student? 2 columns. How many do we have in player? Player also 2 columns. So the degree of both the relations are the same. So both these conditions are satisfied. So they are union compatible. Hence you can apply intersection. Am I clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Any doubts, anybody? Any questions before we go into the further topics? Any questions or any doubts so far? So far we have seen what? We saw combination of select and project operation, how we can include both of them. Then we saw how the attributes or the table can be renamed. Then we saw row operation also which can be used. Then we went into set operations. So before we went into set operations, we discussed what is meant by union compatibility, which is a condition to be satisfied. Again, under union compatibility, there are 2 conditions. Domain should be same of every attribute between the tables should be same, and the degree of both the relation should be same. Then we saw how we can apply union, intersection, and difference. So union and intersection will support both commutative property as well as associative property. Whereas your difference, commutative is not allowed. It is not possible. Till here we have seen. Before we proceed, any questions, anyone? Any doubts?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. So let us proceed. Next one, important one is, what do we mean by Cartesian product? Again, we have seen this also in discrete mathematics. Don't forget it off. You have to write exams, right? All right, let's see. So what do we mean by Cartesian product? Cartesian product is also known as cross product or cross join. They are the alternate names for Cartesian product. Again, it is a binary operation. Binary operation means what? You have to apply it on a minimum of 2 tables. You cannot apply it on just 1 table. You need 2 tables to apply Cartesian product. Then, see the third important point. Union compatibility is not required for this particular operation. To do a Cartesian product between 2 tables, the 2 tables need not be union compatible, which means domain can be different of every attribute. Degree of both the tables can be different. It need not be the same. That is what you say union compatibility is not required for Cartesian product operation alone. All right. Then how do you represent it? You represent it as R cross S. Okay. These are 4 important points. They are also known as cross product or cross join. It is a binary operation. Union compatibility is not required. And then you represent it as R cross S. Right. Next. Yeah, I'm taking 2 simple tables. I'm keeping all my examples very simple so that it becomes easy for you to understand. If you open the textbook, of course, they have given some bigger tables and some foreign names and all that stuff is not required. Examples, always please listen. Always support your answers with examples. Always. Simple example is more than enough. You don't have to follow what is given in textbook like that. Nor you have to follow what I am showing you. You can understand the concept, write down your own examples, but be correct. That's all. Keep your examples as simple as possible. Okay. Now, we have taken here 2 tables, employee and dependent. Okay. If I do a cross join, I can call it as cross join, I can call it as cross product, I can call it as Cartesian product. All are same. If I do a cross join or take a Cartesian product of employee into dependent, what do you get? Can anyone give this answer to me? What do you get? If I do a cross product on these 2 tables, employee ID, look, one more thing before you all go ahead, I want to tell you one more thing. These 2 tables are not union compatible. If you want an example for that, this is a very good example. These 2 tables are not union compatible. It is not required, that's one thing, but if it is like that, no harm, but it is not union compatible in this case. Why? Domain of the first table, domain of the first attribute, employee ID. Okay, so you have only numbers here. Whereas the first attribute in dependent is dependent name. So employee ID number, dependent name is names. Domain is not the same. It is different. Second attribute you see. Second attribute is name. So domain of name is what? All allowed names. Here, whereas second attribute is birthday. So it is going to be all dates. Again, the domain is not same. The degree of both the relation may be same, that's okay. But it is not union compatible, both these tables, because the domain property is not satisfied. It is not required also in this case, right? Okay. Now I want an answer from you all. What do we get for employee cross dependent? Anyone?
I'm like 101.
Yeah.
Ram, Meena and the birthday. Again 101 Ram, Raju and the birthday. Like that.
Okay. Like that, how many you will get? How many records you will get?
Yes, ma'am.
Huh?
Yes, ma'am.
How many records you will get like that in your result? This is my result. No, this is my result. How many records I will get in my result? Anybody?
6, ma'am.
6, ma'am.
6, ma'am.
Yeah, you will get 6 records and you will have a total of 4 attributes. Employee ID will also be there, name will be there, dependent name will be there, birth date will also be there. So you have here 2 tables, each one having 2 attributes. But in your resultant, that is when you take the join, cross join, you will have a total of 4 attributes and you will have 6 records because every possible combination of employee and dependent will be taken. Let me show you. See, this will be your result of the cross product between employee and dependent. You had 2 attributes in employee, 2 attributes in dependent. So you have here a total of 4 attributes. All the attributes of both the tables will come into this. And then you have 3 records in employee table and 2 records in dependent table. So this first record, you will join it with every possible record of dependent. That means that will be joined with both these 2. Again, 102 will be joined with these 2. 103 will be joined with these 2. Right? So that is how you get here 6 records. 101 Ram with Meena and Raju. 101, where is this? 102 with Sham is there. That is again with Meena and Raju both. Again 103 is Geeta. Again it will come with Meena and Raju. So the number of tuples is 6. Number of attributes will be 4. Right? Yeah. This is an important point for you all to understand. Number of tuples in the resultant relation is the number of tuples in R into the number of tuples in S. That's why I took this simple example. How many tuples do we have here? In R, that is your employee table, we have 3. In the dependent table, we have 2. So the total number of table here will be 3 into 2, that is 6. So we have here a total of 6 tuples. So number of tuples in the result, how many tuples you will have in the result? How many we will have? Number of tuples in R into the number of tuples in S. It includes 1 tuple from each combination. That is what we saw. And the most important thing, number of attributes will be n plus m. Here you have 2, that is n. Here you have 2, that is m. So your resultant will have n plus m, which is 4. So number of tuples will be number of tuples in R into the number of tuples in S. Number of attributes will be n plus m. Okay. So all the attributes in the relation R into you are taking all the attributes in the S. That will give you a new relation Q which is containing all the attributes. Result will have some irrelevant tuple which can be further processed by select and project. Any doubts at this point? Any questions? Any doubts? Anyone? Okay, let's proceed. So we saw what are set operations. We saw what is a Cartesian product. Next, we'll see again 2 more binary relational operations, join and division. Join and division. We have been doing join operation in SQL. In the lab exercise also we have seen. Join we have already seen. Where, for example, let me give you. Where s dot usn is equal to b dot usn. So like that you are trying to connect, is it not? That is nothing but your join. Because whenever, see, join will come in whenever you have 2 tables which are related. Student and book was related. So we brought in a join. How did we bring in a join? We wrote some queries like s dot usn is equal to book dot usn and s dot author is equal to a dot author. Something like that we have written. So those are all nothing but your equi joins that we used. Okay. So let's move to the basics of join operation. You will always show join like that. That's the operation or a symbol for join when you try to write it in terms of relational algebra notations. Okay. Whereas in case of SQL, we write equal, we write, of course, only equal we have been using. Let's see. So this is what represents the join between the table R and the table S. It is used to combine related tuples from two relations into single tuples. Right? So whenever you have two relations and they are associated with the relationship, that is when you try to bring in this join operation. That's what I said. It allows to process relationships among relations. How do you represent it? What is the syntax? R and that symbol, join symbol. Then you have to give a join condition, and that's applied on another table called as yes. R and S are two different tables here. You have the join operator, that is that symbol, and then you should always have a condition. What will be the attribute when you apply a join operation? Attributes in the result will be always n plus n. All the attributes of R plus all the attributes of S. And how many tuples will be there? Depends on whether the condition is satisfied or not. If the condition is satisfied, those tuples will come in the relation, in the resultant relation. If the tuples don't satisfy, then they will not come in the resultant relation. Okay. So these are some of the points based on join. Join is always represented by this particular symbol. Join is used when you want to combine two different tables. When they are related by some kind of relationship, then you make use of join. In the join, all the attributes will come. All the attributes of the first table and the attributes of our second table, as we saw in Cartesian product. But there, all possible combination of tuples came in case of Cartesian product. Here it will not come because you are trying to specify a join condition. Since you are given a condition, wherever the condition is satisfied, only those tuples will be part of your result. The other tuples will not come as part of your result. Okay, that's what I said now. See here, in join, combination of tuples satisfying the condition only will appear in the result. Whereas in Cartesian product, just now I said this, whereas in Cartesian product, all combinations of tuples are included because we are not specifying any conditions there. That's why. Join operation can be stated as a Cartesian product operation followed by select. Okay. Now, look at this. A general join condition. What is the syntax for a join condition? Condition 1 and condition 2 and condition so much. We gave something like this. You remember? S.usn, where S.usn is equal to B.usn and S.semester is equal to 2 and S.branch is equal to MCA. Something like that we gave, no? All that is nothing but your join operations. And the condition we used there also. Each condition, look at this, is of the form AI theta bi. AI theta bi. This theta can take any operator. Theta is a general form of representing it. AI theta. Theta is nothing but here an operator. Simply we have shown it as a general symbol or a general operator. This theta can take any value. It can take greater than, less than, equal to, not equal to. Okay, it can take any comparison operator can be given in this condition. Okay, right. See, this is what I said. Condition theta join. We call it as theta join because we generally represent it using theta. So theta join is of the form AI theta bi. This theta can take any operator. See, theta can be equal to, not equal to, less than, greater than, anything can be there. In general, you say it as theta join because you are joining based on some conditions. Next, domain of AI should be equal to domain of AI. Again, only for Cartesian product, your domain need not be the same. Again, for join, you have to give your domain has to be the same. Tuples whose join attributes are null do not appear in the result. If you have some null attributes, then they will not appear in the result. So this is an example of writing a join operation. S1 and R1 are the two tables here. Okay, you are trying to connect them. So this is our join operator. Okay, and then how is the condition written? S1 dot SID is less than R1 dot SID. So SID is particular attribute there. So wherever your SID of S1 is less than SID of R1, those tuples will come. All the attributes of S1, all the attributes of R1 will also come. Equi-join. Whenever your theta, I said AI, theta, BI, no? I told this theta can take any value. Whenever your theta takes this equal sign, right? Then you call it as equi-join. Where S dot USN is equal to B dot USN, something like that we wrote. That is nothing but a equi-join. Most of the queries we have used all equi-join only. We have used all queries equi-join only so far. Right? One or more pair of attributes that have identical values. See this equi-join operation. Example. So we have taken two tables, employee and dependent. Here we are, remember, we took the same two tables for Cartesian product. But there we applied Cartesian product. Here we are applying equi-join. There is a difference. Cartesian product, as I told, one similarity between Cartesian product and equi-join here means what? All the attributes will appear. For here, two attributes are there in a employee. Independent, two attributes are there. In your join, all the four attributes will come. M plus N. But in Cartesian product, we got 6 tuples. Here we will not get 6 because we are representing a condition. Wherever this condition is satisfied, only those tuples will come. Employee ID is equal to EID. 101, 102. Both these are same. Here also you have 101, 102. Here also you have 101, 102. Wherever it is same, look at the join condition. Whereas 103 does not match with anything. So that will not come. 2 times it is appearing, is it not? We'll see that. Why it is appearing twice and how it can be avoided. Any questions still here? Any questions till there?
No,
Ma'am, can you explain equi-join once again?
Equi-join, is it? Yeah. See, equi-join, did you understand what is meant by theta join? AI, theta, BI. Did you understand that?
Yes.
Yeah. See, any join condition is represented in general terms like AI, theta, BI. That's why you call it as theta join. Now, this theta can take any of these operators. Theta can be equal to, less than, greater than, less than or equal to, greater than or equal to, not equal to. It can be anything. Theta can take any operator. When it takes the equal to sign, that is when you call it as a equi-join. That means you are in the condition you are going to specify the equal sign, nothing else. Then you call it as a equi-join. Here what we have done, example for equi-join, we have taken two tables, employee and dependent. Look at here. We are trying to get the result from both these tables. How we are trying to connect them? Employee, this is a join symbol. What is the condition? EMP-ID is equal to EID. AI, theta, BI. Theta takes the equal to sign here. Wherever employee ID of employee table is same as EID of dependent table, only those tuples I want. But when you see the attributes, all the attributes will come. Both the attributes of employee, both the attributes of dependent, both will come. So you will have a total of 4 attributes. In Cartesian product also we had 4 attributes, but we had 6 tuples because we did not have any condition. Every possible combination came off. Here you will not have 6 tuples, you will have only 2 because wherever this condition is satisfied, only those tuples will come. You don't have 103 independent, so this will get dropped. This will get eliminated. Hence, you will have 2 tuples only. Clear to you, Akhil?
Okay, ma'am. I got it.
Yeah. Any other doubts, anyone? Diksha, you raised your hand. Any doubts?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So let us stop at this point. There are different types of joints. We will be looking at all that in the next class. Okay, don't miss your classes because these topics are all very, very important. Not that you should miss otherwise. Right? Don't attend just for the sake of attendance. It will not help you in any ways. Right. Answer your attendance, Anaga,
Yes, ma'am.
Abhilash,
Yes, ma'am.
Akhil,
Yes, ma'am.
Akrut,
Yes, ma'am.
Anusha,
Yes, ma'am.
Arvind,
Present, ma'am.
Harifullah,
Yes, ma'am.
Benaka,
Present, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Banu, Bhargav.
Yes, ma'am.
And tomorrow's lab session again will be in the afternoon. Okay, all your theory classes will be in the morning. DBMS lab will be in the afternoon. Make sure you have your, those who are still not got your installation and things ready, please get that done. Because if you don't do along with me, you will never learn, right? So it will be in the afternoon anyways. Rahmatullah,
Present, ma'am.
Chaitra,
Present, ma'am.
Chandana,
Present, ma'am.
Charan,
Yes, ma'am.
Darshan,
Present, ma'am.
Diksha,
Present, ma'am.
Dakshayani,
Present, ma'am.
Mishan,
Present, ma'am.
Harshit, Hema,
Present,
Uma,
ma'am. Present, ma'am.
Jayant,
Present, ma'am.
Divya,
Yes, ma'am.
Kaushik,
Present, ma'am.
Lakshmi,
Present, ma'am.
Lavanya.
Present, ma'am. Both of the mic issue.
Then how do you manage BMS IT Connect, Lakshmi? You are representing that, no? If you have mic issue, how are you talking there? Manish? Manish is not there today. Okay. Manoj?
Present, ma'am.
Mohit?
Yes, ma'am.
Naval?
Present, ma'am.
Navya?
Present, ma'am.
Nikhil?
Present, ma'am.
Panindra?
Present, ma'am.
Pavan?
Yes, ma'am.
Pooja?
Present, ma'am.
Purnima?
Yes, ma'am.
Raman?
Yes, ma'am.
Rashmi?
Present, ma'am.
Rupak?
Yes, ma'am.
Sai Kumar?
Present, ma'am.
Samir?
Present, ma'am.
Santosh?
Present, ma'am.
Shadab?
Present, ma'am.
Charan?
Present, ma'am.
Shashank?
Present, ma'am.
Sheetal?
Present, ma'am.
Shivani?
Present, ma'am.
Ramya?
Present, ma'am. Ma'am, yesterday also I am present, ma'am, but some network issues I could not able to tell you.
Okay. Spurti?
Present, ma'am.
Vishnu?
Present, ma'am.
Sugandhini?
Present, ma'am.
Sushma?
Present, ma'am.
Smita?
Present, ma'am.
Smita, you?
Present, ma'am.
Ita?
Present, ma'am.
Tripti?
Present, ma'am.
Varsha, Veena?
Present, ma'am.
Yeah, Lakshmi is present. Harshit is present. Mrs. Lavanya is present. Manish is absent for the day. That's all. Rest all are present. Right? You log in through phone. Okay, Lakshmi. I just asked Lagan. That's all. Anyways. Yeah, thank you, students. I think we're done with today's class. So tomorrow is lab. Let's do our meet at the lab session. Thank you all.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.